I never imagined that at 62 years old, I would be driving at 11 at night through unknown streets, my hands trembling on the steering wheel and my heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. It all started about 3 hours ago when I passed the corporate high-rise where Elijah Vance had worked for 25 years. The lights were off, the parking garage was empty, and a notice on the front door announced that the offices were closed for renovations starting at 6 o'clock that evening. My first reaction was that I had the wrong building. But no, there was the company's sleek logo mocking me from the dark facade. I dialed his number with fingers that had begun to shake. "How's the project coming, my love?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual, normal, like the devoted wife I'd been for 4 decades. His answer was immediate, practiced, and perfect in its deception. "Super busy here, Simone. Can't talk right now. The Tokyo project has us all pushing hard. Don't wait up for me, dear." And then I heard it. Soft moans, muffled laughter, the unmistakable sound of the intimacy I thought I knew so well. My stomach lurched, but my mind, the part of me that had been dormant for years, woke up with terrifying clarity. The family GPS app, which I had insisted we install after Elijah had a small car accident last year, now became my guide to the truth. The blue dot representing his silver Mercedes-Benz S-Class was blinking in an affluent residential neighborhood about 40 minutes from our home in a section of Atlanta we had never visited together. Every mile I drove felt like I was peeling layers off my own skin, revealing something raw and painful underneath. The neighborhood was beautiful, too beautiful. Craftsman-style homes with perfectly manicured lawns, antique streetlights bathing the sidewalks in a golden glow. The kind of place where happy families lived their perfect lives. Elijah's Mercedes was parked in front of a deep cobalt blue 2-story house with hydrangeas on the porch and a wooden swing. There was a light on the second floor, shadows moving behind lace curtains that looked straight out of a decorator's magazine. I sat in my car, parked 3 houses down, watching. My mind was trying to process the scene, but it was like trying to assemble a puzzle with pieces that didn't fit. This wasn't the house of any colleague I knew. It wasn't a hotel, nor an anonymous apartment for clandestine affairs. It was a home, complete with a mailbox painted with sunflowers and a welcome mat that read, "The Stanton Family." Then I saw her, a woman, not young as I had feared, but in her mid-40s, peeking out the second-floor window. Her hair was pulled up in a messy bun, and she wore a blue silk robe that I recognized with a sharp stab of pain. It was identical to the one Elijah had given me for our last anniversary, only mine was a wine red. The woman looked down the street with a satisfied expression that hurt more than any gesture of passion could have. My phone vibrated. A text from Elijah. "Leaving the office now, love. Don't wait up. Grab dinner without me." The lie was so blatant, it was almost funny. Almost. I checked my watch. 11:43 p.m. How many nights had I eaten alone, slept alone, lived alone while he built this parallel life? A boy appeared at the window next to the woman. A boy of about 10 years old with dark wavy hair just like Elijah's, with the same way of cocking his head when something intrigued him. The woman embraced him and they both disappeared from my view, likely heading to bed, continuing their nightly routine in their perfect home with my husband. My husband. The words lost all meaning in that moment, floating in my mind like strange, unrecognized objects. 40 years of marriage, 2 grown children, 3 grandchildren. An entire life built on what exactly? Lies? Half-truths? A masterful performance? Physical pain arrived then, so real I thought I was having a heart attack. I woke up in my car at 5:47 in the morning with a stiff neck and swollen eyes. The blue house was still there, proof it hadn't been a nightmare. Elijah's Mercedes was gone. I drove home on autopilot, every traffic light and curve etched into my muscle memory after decades of living in the same place. I arrived just as Elijah was walking through the front door, briefcase in one hand and a box of donuts in the other, my favorite treat. "Morning, my love," he said, kissing me on the cheek with his usual easy familiarity. "I brought your favorites, the Boston creams. I know I shouldn't have worked all night, but you know how these international projects are." His performance was impeccable. If I hadn't seen what I saw, if I didn't know what I knew, I would have believed every word. I wondered how many years he'd been perfecting this theater, how many mornings he'd walked through that door with lies wrapped in bakery paper. "How thoughtful," I replied, surprised by how normal my voice sounded. "Why don't you shower while I make the coffee?" He nodded, humming that tune he always whistled when he was in a good mood, the same melody I'd listened to for 4 decades, not knowing it meant he had spent the night with another family. While the shower water ran, I checked his briefcase. I had perfected the art of the discreet wife, or so I thought. I found the usual work documents that looked genuine, a tablet, company pens, but there was something new too. A second phone, one I'd never seen, hidden in a compartment I didn't know existed. The screen showed several missed calls from home and a text. "Daddy, don't forget my soccer game Saturday. Mommy says you promised to come. Love you, Jalyn." Another woman called Mommy by another son of Elijah's. The frame suddenly widened, and I started seeing the full picture. The frequent business trips, always 3 or 4 days, the weekends he had to work, the calls he'd answer in the yard far from my ears, the credit card purchases that never made it home. I had been so stupid, so trusting, so blind. But no, I corrected myself. I hadn't been stupid. I had been a wife who trusted her husband. I had chosen to believe. I had chosen not to see, because the alternative was unthinkable. I remembered specific moments now with painful clarity, like that time 15 years ago when I found a jeweler's receipt in his pocket. "It's for my boss's secretary's birthday. He knows how he is. He always sends me to do his personal shopping." And I had believed him. Or 10 years ago, when our daughter Amara told me she'd seen Dad at the upscale shopping mall with a woman and a young child. "Must be a colleague's sister," I replied, dismissing it. "Dad's always helping people." Amara was 15 years old then. The boy in the window last night would be about 10 years old. The math was cruel in its precision. I heard Elijah turn off the shower. I put everything back in place, every object exactly as I had found it. I had learned a lot about deception in the last few hours. When he emerged from the bathroom, hair damp and smelling of the cologne I faithfully bought him every Christmas, I had the coffee poured and the donuts on a plate. "Sleep well?" he asked, biting into a donut while reading the news on his iPad. Like always, I lied, finding that the false words came easier than I had imagined. "And did you get any rest at the office?" "Slept a couple of hours on the sofa in the conference room," he replied, without looking up. Daryl was snoring like a bear in the next office. Daryl. I remembered that Daryl, his supposed partner on late-night projects, had retired 6 months ago. We had celebrated with a dinner where Elijah gave a moving speech about teamwork and loyalty. The irony made me nauseous. "Simone, are you all right? You look pale," Elijah said, touching my forehead with concern that seemed genuine. I waited 3 days before going back. 3 days in which I perfected my own performance, smiling at the right moments, responding to his lies with expected credulity, even making love to him one night while imagining the other woman in my place. Elijah suspected nothing. After all, I had been predictable for 40 years. Simone, the devoted wife. Simone, the perfect mother. Simone, the fool. This time, I was prepared. I dressed in clothes I wouldn't normally wear. Jeans and a hooded sweatshirt I'd bought with cash. Big sunglasses, my hair tucked under a baseball cap. I looked like another person. And perhaps I was. The old Simone had died in that car 3 nights ago. I arrived at the Blue House at 2 in the afternoon when Elijah was definitely at his office. The real one this time. I had checked by calling his direct extension. The neighborhood was quiet, only the occasional sound of a dog barking or landscaper working. I parked on the same street, but closer this time. I needed to see. I needed to understand. The woman, Candace, came out at 2:30, and my heart almost stopped. Not because of her, but because of what she carried. A baby in a front carrier. A baby that couldn't be more than 6 months old. The math of betrayal suddenly became more complex. It wasn't just the 10-year-old boy. So Elijah had been building this family for how long? I followed her on foot when she started walking through the neighborhood.